Hello, everyone. Good evening. How are you doing? Is Arit? This is NFTV. We are live talking about Fulham. Hopefully, we have a much better performance. We are owed that. I'm joined by Mr. Sam Mulliner. How are you?
I'm good. Just finished a 12-hour shift at work, so I'm feeling fresh.
I feel the pain. I do. I feel the pain. I'm knackered as well. Matt, you've had a bit of stick. You've just telling us off camera, haven't you?
Yeah, I work in Leeds with a bunch of Leeds supporters, and I wore a Newcastle shirt into work on Saturday when the match was going on. So I got bullied in the workplace. I'll be taking that up with HR later on in the week, I don't think. But hopefully it'll be a better result this weekend, because I can't be arsed getting a load of stick off a load of Fulham fans as well.
No, we don't want that. We do not want that. Not after the shit show, pardon my French, on Wednesday night. Hello, Geordie Fancaster. He's been watching us quite a while in all the streams, so great to have you back as well. Thank you for watching. So tonight we're talking about two teams, obviously, Fulham versus Leeds. That's Fulham versus Leeds. Fulham and Newcastle, hence why we're here. We're going to take a look at Fulham's last six, check on the league table, star players. Mitrovic, I'm sure he'll get one or two mentions tonight. And we'll take a look at Newcastle's last lineup. Should we change it? Yes, we should. Yes, we should. A quick question, though. We've been having a debate, Johnny and Sam. Matt, who's the best right back at the club?
It depends what formation you're playing and what kind of tactics. Personally, I think Manquillo is the best all-rounder. He's not particularly amazing at any one thing, but I mean, he's not got a lot of competition, has he?
No, we're not blessed in the right backs. There's a bit of debate between Johnny and Sam all day, which has been funny in our WhatsApp. They've been disagreeing and looking for the worst.
It was just a thing on scoring the players on Wednesday night, isn't it? Because I said in the back four that Kraft was the best option. But, I mean, I say the best option. I mean, it's like picking which STR you want. It's not exactly ideal, is it? So, yeah, best of a bad bunch. At the end of the day, Kraft's a Swedish international, and Manquillo's never going to get a call up to Spain in a million years, is he? But it is what it is. I think we'll all agree that we need a new right back of real quality.
Totally agree. You're the expert at STI, so you would know better than me, Sam.
Really, I don't think anyone watching believes that.
Your wife
wedding ring on here, pal.
Oh, what she doesn't know what happened to Budapest, she'll never know. Don't worry about that.
Never been.
Moving on before we get him into more trouble. Let's share a screen. Let's open this up a little bit then. So we're here to talk about the preview, as you all know. You'll see with Twitter tab, but we're not going to be talking about that. We're going to open up the league table at the minute. Look, Newcastle aren't going to go down. We know that, but 8 points, the gap has been brought down a little bit there, Matt. But Fulham, it's a bigger game for Fulham, of course it is, because they're fighting for their lives. When you look at that league table, is it still the bottom five? 3 out of 5?
I mean, yeah, everyone's still in and around it. We've seen teams that can pull off shock results. Sheffield United have got, Chris Wilder's not happy when people just call them Sheffield. They ran Man U close for their money last night. Fulham, last week, I'm sure we'll touch on this, gave Liverpool a run for their money as well. So there's teams in and around there that do have the quality to pull off some shock results here and there. And, you know, you look at the result that we had midweek, and you've got to say that we're very much in a scrap at the minute. Yes, it's 8 points now, but what's that going to be come halfway through the season when we've played everyone?
You know, it only takes one defeat. There's a lot of media talk of the journalists as well tonight and the last few days as well, Sam. If Newcastle don't get a result tomorrow, you look at then the next 3 fixtures, those are very, very tough.
Exactly, because at the end of the day, if we if we lose tomorrow, that gap is now 5 points, and then we've got 3 games that we may well lose, and we probably expect to lose, and then God knows where we could be. Fulham looked sharp on Sunday against Liverpool, and they were well worth their point. So it's not a foregone conclusion, but on the other hand, you got to be putting away these teams at the bottom, especially at home.
Yeah, 22 goals conceded. It's only one more than us. It surprised me that they've only scored 12, to be honest with you. I thought they might score a lot more. Scott Parker's obviously returning, Matt. He's one of the nice guys in football. We want him to see him do well. Obviously not on Saturday, but do you think he'll last the full season?
I think Fulham's board will probably play the smart move. They won't be like West Brom and, you know, get a panic manager in. I think he's brought them up He's got talent in the squad. I think their investment this summer was very good, and they brought in some quality players on loan. And I think they should, in my eyes, they should stick with him regardless of how their fortunes go until the end of the season. If they get relegated, then it's up to them if they want to stick or twist. But personally, I think that he's the right man to kind of motivate. He knows the players. He can motivate them to get out of that relegation zone.
I hope he does well, because he's a nice bloke. And obviously, I know he didn't spend loads of time at Newcastle, but when he did, Sam, you know, he's the last captain to win a trophy for us, isn't he?
It wasn't a trophy; it was a plaque. But you are right in what you say. He had 2 great years as a player at Newcastle, and he was the first captain after Alan Shearer, wasn't he? So great player. We shouldn't have sold him to West Ham either. That was one of a long line of players we shouldn't have sold when we did. But I agree with Matt. I think Fulham will stick with him no matter what, because at the end of the day, I think he's a better manager than Frank Lampard, because, you know, he got a team out of the Championship. Lampard did.
Wait a minute. You're saying that Scott Parker is a better manager than Frank Lampard?
Yes.
So if the swap positions, Parker could do better than Lampard?
Yes.
That's some call, mind. That's some call.
Why is it?
Well, I don't know. Just hopefully you don't think Chelsea fans see this video.
I'm not saying Lampard's bad, and they're still very early on in their managerial careers, aren't they? But, you know, you've not got a lot to go on. But Lampard couldn't get Derby up. Yeah. Parker got Fulham up.
Yeah, and obviously I love that meme. You put it on the Twitter the other day, Sam. Of obviously
brilliant. I've watched that so many times this past 2 days. It's embarrassing.
It just goes so well, doesn't it? Dry your eyes, mate, and the way he's talking, because he's got that twang, he's got that accent as well. But yeah, hopefully he keeps his job, because he's one of the nice lads, as we're mentioning in football. But come Saturday, we will be talking. I know there's loads of comments coming in about Miggy and Matty and all that. We will be talking about Newcastle, so do keep your comments coming in as well. But going into this weekend, we'll talk again more about Fulham. Switch this around. We'll go back to the share screen, and we'll have a look at what shall we have a look at? So we'll have a look at the last 6 fixtures. What's the league table? Shut that down. Looking at this, Matt, against Liverpool in particular, they were really, really good. And yeah, I know Brighton 0-0 is not the greatest result at home, because it's against one of their relegation candidates, but are they slowly turning the corner with those last 2 results, in particular Liverpool?
I mean, even the Brighton game, you know, I watched the full 90 against Liverpool, and to be honest, they were unlucky not to come away with 3 points there. Liverpool only scoring because Kamara turned his back in the wall and it was given a tough handball as a penalty. That's why Liverpool got into that game. And Brighton, they're no slouches either. I mean, they've give us a good whooping at the start of the season. They did lose, I think it was 3-0 to Chelsea, but they give Chelsea a good game. They're a good football inside, so Fulham to get a couple of points from those games, that's really impressive, and we should really be worried about this weekend. If we can get turned over by Leeds, why not against Fulham?
Yeah, only got 1 defeat in the last 4. So they're starting to pick up points, Sam. Does that worry you playing against us a lot?
Worry, no, but it's something you've really got to be mindful of. In particular, Lookman, I think, is going to be key tomorrow for Fulham, because if you watch the last couple of games, that, you know, if they play it out wide and use the width, that's going to cause us some problems, because our fullbacks are in just a terrible state. I know Lewis has hit a patch of poor form, but we've got no other left back fit, and Manquillo is, I think, he might be one of the ones suffering with the after effects of COVID. Murphy's not a right back, as we saw, although it was, on reflection, a bit of a terrible game to plonk him in there, but still, he was poor. So it'll probably be Kraft, but you will have Shelvey come back in tomorrow. I actually think tomorrow's a game for Matty as well, to go with him. I think it's time we unleash Matty for the season. Yeah, I know Johnny would start Kraft, but that's only because Manquillo's not fit. You can try and wind me up all you want. I'm too tired to be wound up. But no, Fulham do play, as Andrew says in the comment there, they do play some decent football, and what Matt said is spot on. Liverpool from open play, Fulham dealt with them. They didn't really look like scoring. They're plenty of the ball, Liverpool, but they didn't have really any cutting edge. So it's one we've got to be really mindful of, because, as I say, if we lose and that gap gets cut down to 5, going into Brentford and then that horrendous run around Christmas and New Year, our form is perennially shite around Christmas and New Year anyway. So them fixtures don't help matters. So it's one we've really got to be mindful of.
Let's get to crunch time with Fulham. Matt, are Fulham staying up?
Well, it's a difficult question to answer because it's a long season.
Why I mean, you on for, Matt. That's why I've got you one night.
The brains. No, personally, I think they will, and it'll be at the expense of a team like us that is so inconsistent. With Fulham, they know they lack quality in that squad. They haven't got the core players that they can work at. They can't build a team around. They're still establishing themselves in the Premier League. Obviously, just haven't been promoted. So, but they've got a manager that knows how to utilise those players that he's got. Like you say, Lookman. He's brought in Loftus-Cheek, Zambo Anguissa, really good midfield that they've got there as well. They've got those few players that they can rely on to be consistent and pull off results like they did against Brighton or Liverpool. So I think they've got enough to stay up. It's whether or not they'll pull off bigger results come down the season, or they'll win games like the Saturday coming.
I agree, and I'll tell you why I agree. Is because at the start of the season, I had a £5 treble on the 3 teams to go down, which was Sheffield United. It was 100 to 1. Sheffield United, Brighton, and West Brom. So I've put that on before a ball was kicked at the start of this season. So I'm having a run for my money. But yeah, I think Fulham will be okay in the end, especially if they win tomorrow, which I hope they don't.
Of course not. I bet the odds have shortened with Sam Allardyce being appointed now for West Brom to stay up. But that's gone right squeezed up that they're going to stay up.
Got a crap team though, aren't they?
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, but Sam Allardyce team though, isn't it? Very workmanlike, long ball. But we beat them. We beat them before they got Allardyce, which is probably a good thing. I give Lewis a day off, says Kenneth as well. We're going to talk about Newcastle very shortly. We're just going to take a look at Fulham's squad. Obviously, you lads have obviously mentioned a couple of players as well. Let's take a look at their squad and any more key players that we want to look out for on here. So let's pull this open. Mitrovic stands out, doesn't he?
He hasn't been playing though, has he?
But it's Newcastle. No. He'll be up for this. He'll want to play, won't he?
But I want to play. Doesn't mean I will be tomorrow. But he might, because of the time of year and squad rotation and whatnot. But Parker's titivated a bit with his team lately, hasn't he? So, and even the likes of Kearney aren't getting a guaranteed spot in the first 11 anymore, and he's club captain. So he might play because of rotation, and obviously he'll love it if he scores. But there's no crowd. Obviously, we remember last game of the couple of seasons ago when we were all singing "You're just a shit Rondon." So I'm sure Mitrovic has got that in the back of his mind.
No, 100%. If you want to come back and perform. Looking at the Fulham side, you've obviously both touched upon Lookman. Obviously, I know he was a stupid twat for that penalty against West Ham when he tries to dink it, but he's looked really, really bright for me. He is the one spark that we have to be very, very careful of, Matt.
Yeah, he's absolutely. He's to equate him to a Newcastle player, he's their saint-maximin. He's willing to take the ball from the midfield and run at defenders, which is really where we're going to struggle if he does start, because we've got people on either side, on either flank. Whoever you start, none of them are defensively sound. I mean, unless you've got Paul Dummett miraculously fit. He's going to either be attacking either Richie, Lewis, or Manquillo or Murphy, someone on that flank, and you just don't have any faith in those players to be able to stop a player like him. Like, he was torturing Alexander-Arnold and Robertson. Like, he was just having their lives, and they're two of the best fullbacks in the league, if not the world. And he's full of confidence, even in a relegation battle side. So he's really one to look out for on Saturday, yeah.
And Gisa, you talked upon him as well. He can't see his face there, but I think I seen a stat where he had more dribbles than Alan saint-maximin before ESM got injured. So he's another one. And then you obviously look at Kamara as a bit of a threat. They do have a lot of pace. End of quality, probably lacking. Obviously, you could say Bobby Reid as well, or now he's called Bobby Cordova Reid. I'm not having none of that. He's Bobby Reid, man. He's just trying to sound posh. And then you've got Cavallero as well. So they do have a bit of pace out wide. But is anybody else, Sam, in this list who we're missing out? Obviously, Lemina's a new signing. Will he feature?
So For me, you've just got to look at their wide players because that's where we are weak. So yeah, exactly. Robinson, bright little player, isn't he? So he could probably get at Kraft or whoever starts at right back. Well, it probably will be Kraft. I'll be amazed if it's Murphy, and I'll be amazed if we revert to 5 at the back. So yeah, it's them. You've just got the wide players because that's where we look the most vulnerable.
We do. We'll talk about Newcastle very, very shortly. We are coming. Robinson looks a real threat. Nearly went to Milan, didn't he? Remember that?
Yeah.
Cracker, that, isn't it? Connor says Mitrovic to score tomorrow. It's just written.
Poetic.
Left us hope we're 1 or 2 goals away in front before he gets on the act as well. Thoughts on Steve Bruce's comments on Mitrovic, Sam?
Oh, yeah, I saw that. He said he was brilliant up here and he'd love to have worked with him. I wouldn't say Mitrovic was brilliant up here, would you? No. I'd say he was a bit of a liability at times and lost his place to Championship players.
I would probably have him ahead of Joe Linton and Carroll.
Nice of Jamal to join in the comments there.
Yeah, I like Jamal, but book your ideas up, lad. Yeah, no, Mitrovic. I mean, Daryl Murphy. He lost his place to Daryl Murphy. Mitrovic did. So.
It's worrying when your own manager's picking up the opposition's bench and not focusing on his own players. You know, that press conference, it's not just for the media. Those players are going to be looking at that as well. I'm thinking, bloody hell, why is he singing the praises of like the person, like not even a starting player for them? It's not like we're coming up against Messi and he's going, oh, Messi's going to tear us apart tomorrow. You know, how do we contain him? It's bloody Mitrovic. He's a bench warmer for Fulham at the minute. He was crap up here. I love him. I love him at peace. I'd take him back. I wouldn't necessarily start him, but he was, at the end of the day, he was rubbish. And he had one of the best coaches in the world coaching him. So under Steve Bruce,
didn't trust him at all, did he?
Yeah.
Liam loves him. Liam loves him, didn't he? He was sticking up from on our WhatsApp group last week, wasn't he? Before we talk about Newcastle, I do promise we are talking about that. I know I keep saying that. We're just going to take a look at Fulham's team because they actually changed their formation last game out as well. So let's have a look at what they went with. This is according to WhoScored.com. Interest in this is that for the first time this season they played wing-back system with Robinson over here and they had Bobby Reid over on the right wing-back, which is a strange position for him with Lookman and Loftus-Cheek in support of Cavaliero. Was that just a rotated thing, Matt? Because we don't normally see that with Fulham. It's normally a flat-back.
I think it was probably just rotation for fitness or for some other reason. Maybe or either that or it's inspired tactical genius from Scott Parker. But, you know, you probably put it down to the former there. But I think coming up on Saturday, the game's going to be won or lost in the middle of the park. You know, you've got some really talented central midfielders for Fulham. You've got Harrison Reed, product of Southampton's academy, I believe. He looks really good against Liverpool. Loftus-Cheek, Zambo Anguissa, and a couple other lads in there that, you know, can really run the show. They get on the ball. Zambo Anguissa, like you say, is not afraid to run at people. Loftus-Cheek pushing forward, supporting the striker. They've got a lot of balance in that midfield. So I think that's where the game's going to be won or lost, because who do we really have in the midfield to combat that? You know, do we go with a midfield 3, a central midfield 3 with wing backs? Do we go with a flat 2? Do we go with a holding midfielder, let Shelby do his thing? It'll be difficult, especially, and you know, Fulham rotating their formation. It'll be difficult to predict with what they go with on Saturday, whether they'll revert to the normal or they'll play with those wing backs again.
Yeah, I think they'll switch back to 4. Me personally, I think that was just a midweek thing. They don't have many players out, to be fair. The Congolo, Reed's a doubt, Tete is a doubt, but look at Newcastle. The mystery around Alan Saint-Maximin. Where's the injury? Has he got COVID? Manquillo's out allegedly. Fabian Scher's out, Jamal Lascelles, Paul Dummett, and obviously we know about Dubravka. But how many? Let's talk about the Toon. How many changes are you wanting to say, Sam?
Let's think. So I would want Hayden rested because he was one of the ones that had COVID really bad. Love him to bits. Fucking hell, Jonathan! I'd drive to Alaves myself and pick him up. I've said ever since I've joined the channel, Lejeune was our best defender, nigh on our best player. But hey ho, for changes, flat back 4 Obviously, goalkeeper picks himself. I mean, Lewis will play, but I wouldn't be too disappointed to see Richie given a go. He's probably more likely to work rather than Murphy because he's a bit more workmanlike with a bit more energy and nous about him than Jacob Murphy. It'll probably be Fernandez and Clark in the middle. Kraft probably right back. One thing that does concern me, if Hendrick gets put on the right-hand side, then get your money on Fulham because they'll just tear us apart on the wings and because Hendrick will play too narrow. So you need a natural wide player out there, a Jacob Murphy, right mid or...
When he looked brighter playing there when he was pushed further forward.
Yeah, personally, if Lewis plays left back, then I would stick Richie or Murphy on the left with Almiron on the right and Shelvey. And I think it's the time for Matty Longstaff as well. Bruce won't play him. Don't get me wrong.
I can't see Matty playing, folks. I think Matty's away on the one.
Yeah, probably. But I think this is a game to finally unleash Matty. And then I think tomorrow's probably one for Wilson and Gale up front. I said in midweek I thought that was a game for Carroll, Leeds, given how poor they were in the air, but Bruce doesn't listen to me. So, yeah.
Oh, he does, because he'll mention at the press conference about us being media managers, social media managers about the club.
Is he on about, well, I don't know.
Anyways, we'll move on from that. We don't want to get any more trouble, do you, Sam? Regarding, someone's mentioned Sean there. Geordie did. It'd be interesting, Matt, if he sticks with them because he was really, really poor towards the end of the Leeds game. Do you teach him a lesson and take him out because he was poor, or do you stick with him and say, look, lad, yes, you were poor midweek, but I'm going to stick with you, give you a bit of confidence?
I think the best thing to do will just be leave him in, but give him a bit of support in the midfield because he's going to have it's going to be a tough game. You know, it's going to be a physical game in the midfield. There's going to be some hard challenges, which we know Sean enjoys. He loves to put a challenge in, set the pace of the game nice and early. So I know, Matty's not going to play, but ideally, I'd like to see a midfield three of the two Longstaff brothers and Shelvey. I know a lot of people would probably disagree with me there, but Matty's got the energy to kind of hound the midfielders, win the ball back. Shelvey's got the distribution, and then Sean could probably push forward and support the two strikers. We've seen him playing that number 10 before. He's a little bit better suited to that. Personally, I'd like to see that if Hayden is going to get rested, like you say, obviously Hayden's the preferred choice in the midfield. He's arguably our best midfielder, if not player. But I think Bruce will probably stick with him given the lack of options. I don't want to see Hendrick in there ahead of him because he's also been shocking. But if you did drop him now, he would probably take a bit of a hit to his confidence. We're going through a bad rut. We need to stick together and come out of this as a team.
It's not lack of options, though, is it? It's just a lack of consistent options. Because tomorrow it's going to be Shelvey and one other, isn't it?
Shelvey has to play for me.
Yeah, he was the one that got rested. So.
The thing is, he'll come in. But the thing with Shelvey is, I said this a week or two back, simple. He passes the ball forward. I know it's still a simple tactic, but if you look at our midfielders, how many pass forward, our centre midfielders.
To have a bit of energy and tenacity in there with Matty.
And you remember the last time we played Fulham, he was brilliant in that 4-0 away win, wasn't he? When they went down at Rafa's last game.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even if we do revert to like a back 3/5, either sticking Kraft or Hayden in as the third centre back. Murphy's better suited to a wing back. Lewis and Richie both better suited to wing back roles. And then if you stick with Sean and Shelvey as the midfield too, you could even play Miggy as a 10 behind the strikers, which he's been known to do a couple of games in the past. So there is options going into tomorrow's game. So it'll be interesting to see if he sticks or twists with the team got turned over at Leeds. Interestingly,
TalkSport made a bit of sense the last 48 hours, Sam. You've seen that with Adrian Durham. For the first time, really, someone's proper questioned Bruce. And it came from a source which you wouldn't really think that they would, because they like to shit stir, basically. I'll say that. Is he talking a little bit of sense?
Well, because I put it on our Twitter as well, that video of TalkSport. I'll put what I wrote on as the caption is. It's amazing how these people just change their mind when they actually sit down and watch a Newcastle game. And they can see what we've been watching all season and back end of last season. So we all know. Everyone who's watching this knows what we've been seeing under Steve Bruce. People in the media, they don't watch every Newcastle game. They don't watch every game from every team, do they? They just, I mean, look at Sky Sports build up the other day. 2:30 it started. We were the 3:00 kickoff against West Brom, and 25 minutes was devoted to Man United, Man City. So, what can you do?
Yeah. It is. I think the Chronicle know that we play bad, but they're just worried about pushing the buttons a little bit.
No, I disagree. No, I think
you reckon?
Yeah, I think the Chronicle, Mark Douglas made the point after the Leeds game straight away that if we get a bad result against Fulham, then we're sucked right back into the relegation fight.
I reckon they go hard. I reckon they can go harder. I think they are tiptoeing. They don't push the boundaries because they're worried about getting the ban again. I generally do. I think they could push a little bit harder for it. But let's take a look at the last lineup because we are expecting, if you look at the bench, first of all, we've talked about Shelvey. Carroll's been itching to start. Bruce talked about him. Carroll, I could see in the next 2-3 games getting a rare start. Richie, right. I think. Matt Ritchie, does he start this game? Matt?
I'd start him every game. I'll be honest. I bloody love the lad. Like, he's not the best player we've got, attacking or defensively, but he'll give you 200% every single game. And you saw it was against West Brom when Murphy just let the lad through to score. Richie's giving him an earful. He's not throwing his hands up going, oh well, lads, we could be doing it. He's going, what the hell are you doing? Stick your foot in, put your body on the line. And it's not just him giving the passion. I know that's a buzzword for a lot of people. It's the passion that he brings to the team. He brings everyone else up around him. You're going to get Sean going in for those 50-50s with a bit of extra juice. You know, you're going to win the ball back in the middle. You're going to turn it over and you're going to convert it into attack with someone like Richie in your team. Not because he's providing the quality, but because he's providing the effort those players want to perform. Because and that's what I think we're missing Lascelles, because he's a similar kind of player. You know, those players want to perform for a leader like that. And Richie, while he's not a captain or vice captain, he is a leader on the pitch, and we're really, really missing that at the moment.
If we expect Shelvey to come in, Tom, and we also expect Miggy to come in. Where are you playing them then? So if you're playing, let's think he goes with Wilson. I'm going to say he goes with Joe Linton ahead of Gale. I'd love to see Gale. I'd just be proved wrong.
Or, I mean, let's not forget he could go Joe Linton and Gale and give Wilson a rest.
I don't think he'll risk it because he knows if he loses the game like this, then I think he knows his job's in real trouble.
Wilson can't play the next 3 games 90 minutes though, can he? Surely. I
mean, he can't, but Bruce don't. Well, I don't think Bruce will care. I think if we need a goal, Wilson's on the pitch.
Is Wilson a star player now?
Yeah. Undoubtedly.
So you wouldn't drop your star player, would you? I know there's a lot of games coming up, but you'll try and squeeze as much out as possible. But my question was, Sam, sorry to go in there. Almiron's going to come in the lineup, you would think. So surely he does not play on the right, and you put Fraser out there, or even Murphy to some extent.
Fraser won't play. He was blowing a gasket after an hour on Wednesday. It's too soon for him to play 2 games in 3 days.
Against Brentford?
Yeah. Richie Fraser will probably come back in for Brentford. Yeah, the likelihood is that Almiron will be on the right hand side, which I detest him there deeply. I'd sooner put Richie. Remember, Richie used to play on the right and cut inside all through the Championship season, throughout the first season back in the Premier League, where he was picking up some vital goals. The winner at Arsenal springs to mind. So I would sooner have him on the right-hand side instead of Almiron, who's just so naturally left-sided. It's untold. And he should provide ample cover with Jamal Lewis, who needs all the help he can get.
Interesting comment. This came in, Matt, about did you see Simon Smith talk about Dubravka's nearly at full fitness?
Yeah.
Maybe give him his first game back against Brentford. I think that might be a little bit too soon, Rohan. I think it'll probably be the new year, but it's not far. Dubravka's coming back, and to be honest, we don't miss him. Surprisingly, it's mad saying that. It's bonkers saying that, but we don't actually miss Martin Dubravka because of the form of Darnold.
No, I mean, don't get us wrong. I absolutely love that. I think he's class. But when Newcastle United, it would not shock me to see us cash in January for Dubravka. If someone comes in with 15, 20 mil, I know that's not likely, But if someone comes in with that kind of money, you're not going to say no, especially with the form Darlow's in. For me, Darlow keeps his place for a while, even when Dubravka's back. If we're still in the cup at that point, Dubravka's getting a couple run outs here and there, getting him back to full fitness. But I think once Darlow's form, like he has one or two iffy games, if and when he does, that's when Dubravka comes back into the side. But you're right, we don't really miss him at all. Darlow, he was fantastic in the Championship. He's prone to have the odd mistake in him, we know that. But then again, so did Dubravka. I think he was one of the top keepers in the league last year with errors directly leading to goals. But he was also a top shot stopper because we're crap and we concede like 100 shots a game. But how much of Darlow being good comes down to the fact that he's getting 30 chances a game to prove that he's a good goalkeeper.
Yeah, Pickford looked good at Sunderland, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
He probably was the better goalkeeper at Sunderland, to be fair, because at Everton he's all over the place. Here's an interesting comment. What you're smoking, Joe Linton is too slow, has no touch, and has stroked the club for his wage. Now, we're not saying we want Joe Linton to start. None of us are. We think that he might start. That's the difference with Joe Linton. And I know he got a lot of stick on midweek, which is probably unjust just because Joe Linton, whatever you think of him, Newcastle were 2-2 when he went off, and then it all went tits up. Of course it did as well. Adam's got a nice comment there for you, Sam.
Adam's my biggest fan.
There's a lot of love.
And Kraft has to start this weekend because he's our only. Well, I mean, it's him or Yedlin, isn't it?
Is Yedlin fit? Is he around the squad? Yeah.
He came on against West Brom, didn't he?
The Invisible Man. Yeah.
Interesting. We're just reading some of your comments out before we have a look at the latest Newcastle news, what Bruce said about his press conference, giving a few hints and tips as well. And we'll talk a little bit about what videos we've got coming up tomorrow. What's going on with ESM? Any news, please? Matt, what is happening with ESM? Is he injured? Is there a bust up? Or is he just COVID stricken?
I mean, it would be nice to find out from the club, but obviously before the whole COVID thing, there was rumours of a bust up. He's not happy with Bruce, he's not happy with the team, he's not happy with this, he's not happy with that, which wouldn't surprise me. But at the same time, I think that we would have heard something in the media by now of that being true or false. Obviously, people have denied it, said, no, he's just injured, he's just ill. We know he's injury prone, he's had his niggles, he does get hacked down a lot. But he's probably, to keep him out this long, not even anywhere near the bench, he's probably been one of those players that's been hit with COVID and is struggling to come back to full fitness, which wouldn't surprise me because he Bruce runs him into the ground every 90 minutes. So the fact that he's been hit with something that's going to bring his fitness even further down, it wouldn't shock me if he's been hit with COVID at all.
We just need to get Craig Hope back in that press conference and maybe squeeze a bit of truth out of him, perhaps. No injury news, which is great. That's probably a bit of positive that come out. There are no more further injuries. Obviously, he's going on. Bruce was mentioning about obviously the illness through the COVID situation. We're nearly there. What's the biggest game? Is it Fulham or is it Brentford? It's got to be Brentford, hasn't it, Sam?
We need to be winning them both. At the end of the day, you can't afford to lose either, can you?
You can, but again, I'll give you the option then. If you take a draw or a defeat and then or a win and Tuesday, and I say Wednesday, you would probably opt more for Tuesday, wouldn't you? You've got no excuses this year because we've played against every opposition this season is lower league. Brentford have sold the star player at West Ham. No fans in as well because they've gone into tier 3.
It reminds me of the cup run we had under Ruud Gullit when we got to the FA Cup final. We basically just shithoused our way to the semi-finals, didn't we? We had the easiest route ever.
Matt's like his head thinking, when was this?
Who's Gullit? No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
I'm not that young even.
No, they're getting flashbacks for the quiz we had the other week. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tricky one. I can't come up with a simpler answer than we need to win them both. It's as simple as that. There needs to be. I can see Wilson being left out of one of the two games. I would kind of lean towards Brentford, and that's when I mean, I could quite easily see Joe Linton and Wilson get the nod tomorrow, and then Gale and Carroll play against Brentford. But we shall see. But yeah, if we do win tomorrow, then 20 points before Christmas is a fantastic achievement. Let's not get it wrong.
Yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. We do need to win both, but you can rinse me in the comments all you want. I couldn't give less of a shit about the cups if we get relegated. Like, the reality is, we can have a good cup run, yes, but what's the point if we're not going to win because we're going to come up against someone like Liverpool or City in the final, and two, there's no fans there to enjoy it. So what is the point of a cup run this year? Focus on the league.
Have faith in Stoke City. Have faith in Stoke.
Yeah, but remember when Birmingham won the Carling Cup and got relegated, and then they're having to play the fucking Europa League in a championship season.
I'm more than happy to have fan cams in Azerbaijan at 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm up for that. I'll take it.
I'll take it, but reality is we're not going to come away with a trophy at the end of the season. We don't have the manager or the squad to do that. So, like, what's the long term here? Do you have a good cup run that keeps Bruce in for another season? You happy with that? You want Bruce here, even if we just scrape by and stay up? Yeah, if we get relegated, does he go? Like, what's the long term view? And, like, to me, if you don't win at Fulham, one, Bruce's reputation and job is in trouble, and two, if you don't win against Fulham and then you lose against Brentford, what, you've got Arsenal in the FA Cup to look forward to, the current cup holders. We've got 5 points off the relegation.
The way they're playing.
I know, but they always turn up for the FA Cup. No chance against them. But
well, that's an interesting comment to make, Matt, because if we do lose the next two games, it's going to be very hostile on social media, isn't it?
Jonathan made a good point that you just highlighted.
Yeah, Wigan. Yeah. Cheers, Johnny.
Yeah, but there should have really been League One because there's a bit of corruption in why Wigan went down. They're a championship club. There were harshly some dodgy stuff going on with Wigan Athletic last season. But yeah, I mean, would you take a relegation in a cup?
No, because we don't come back up after we get relegated. We've done it twice already.
A major trophy you wouldn't take for the first time in your lifetime.
To be the championship club for the rest of the history. I think, look at Middlesbrough just down the road. What they won, the Europa, what was it? The UEFA Cup was before my time. But they won the Carling Cup. They got to like a Europa League final. Yeah. But they're rotten in the Championship now, and like they've had a decent start to this season, but the club's in ruin. The finances aren't there. Johnny Woodgate was on like 18 grand a year for managing that football club. Warnock's on pittance. Like, if we get relegated, that's the end for Newcastle. I hate to be like dramatic and pessimistic about it, but Ashley wants out. He's going to sell the club to someone that's a championship level owner that's got no ambition.
Well, you say that if we do get relegated, it'd be a lot easier to sell because there's no stringent fit and proper persons test. That's how Wolves got their takeover. Look where they are now. That's how Villa got their takeover. Look at how they're doing now. It's a catch-22. It depends on if the Saudis would be interested. But I do, for all intents and purposes, I do agree with you, Matt, because if we do go down after winning a cup, then you've got a game every 2 days. You're taking 1 step forward for 2 steps back. You'll just...
Brilliant comment, Stephen. Brilliant comment.
They would approve it, absolutely. 9 times out of 10. And Wolves as owner is a proper dodgy if you do some fucking proper research into it. They're questionable, but you'd just be a complete clusterfuck of a season playing in the Europa League on a Thursday, and then you'd have the Championship on a Sunday and a Tuesday. It'd be mental.
And then you've got even if the EFL would approve a takeover like that, you know. You've got your success stories of Wolves and Villa, but then you've got like Wigan, Sheffield Wednesday, like clubs that have been taken over and then are horribly run because it's dodgy. And then you've got a 50-50 chance of going all the way at the top or all the way at the bottom. So would you take that, or would you take Premier League safety and maybe Saudi's going to take us over here in a couple of years? You know, I'd take a couple more years of that rather than fighting it out in the Championship.
Yeah, exactly.
We're getting very dramatic over a game against Fulham.
Yeah. We're not going down, touch wood.
Yeah, we won't be going down. I just want to highlight before we talk about the videos coming up tomorrow. Remember, we've seen tragic news the last 2 weeks. We will keep highlighting it, talking about mental health can save lives as well. There's plenty of stuff. Google it, be a game changer. We are part and help and push just to raise awareness, of course, as well. I am supporting the top as well, be a game changer. Some fantastic stuff going around. Josh obviously has done some fantastic stuff. I think there's another guy, sorry, I don't know off the top of his head, who's done some stuff as well with the foundation with a story. Sam, you going to mention something there?
Yeah, I know you're on about. I can't remember for the life of me the lad's name, but yeah, Josh has done brilliantly, and he continues to support the foundation. He's an absolute whirlwind, isn't he? And of course, the foundation chief, the head of the foundation, was on a certain podcast last week as well, wasn't he, Lee? Your favourite podcast, I've heard.
He was, yeah. I tune in live to watch his all the time. Most times, unless I'm stuck at work. That's over on NFTV Extra.
Tuesday, there is a podcast audio exclusive, so it's not going to be released on YouTube. It's just for the podcast this Tuesday. We've got Michelle Owen, who I used to go to school with back in the day. Tuesday.
I hope you asked that question about the Michael Owen, because she does get called that on Twitter. Stay tuned if you want to say that. But tomorrow we have Matt's not involved. Matt's busy. So, Matt, you can clear off. Tomorrow we have me and Sam doing all the donkey work behind the scenes. It's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a slog. Carl can't do the live stream. So I'm picking that up. We'll see how that gets on.
I'm joining in when I've put the kids to bed. I mean, it's a good job it's an 8 o'clock kickoff, really, because, I mean, it means I can still watch Ascot in the day. I mean, it's the long walk hurdle, Group 1, Grade 1, tomorrow. So that at least I get to watch that before we've got to start all the graft.
I don't know what that means, but yeah, I'll take your word for it. Let's just hope I don't smash any remotes, because the last time I done a live watch along, that got a bit adventurous, so I'll try and behave myself. So I'll be doing the live stream. Of course, I'll be joined by Liam. Sam's jumping on. Johnny's got a cameo little appearance. He's got the easy one over the weekend. He's got Quick Thoughts, which was his video done very well this week, 15K and rising. Yeah, we've got Scoring the Players live. We've got The Last Word going to be live. There's an exclusive for everybody at home. The first one being live, basically it's a late night game. We don't want to be up until 2 o'clock doing the videos, but stay tuned for all the videos. It all begins at
You forgot one.
There's too many videos now. Tell me which one I forgot. Fan reaction. There we go. There's too many videos nowadays, so we want you involved. Please get involved in the fan reaction show. Your chance to voice your opinions. We're going to be showing some fans from Wednesday's game on the build-up show for the watch along between, as I said, between 2 and 3. It's not between 7 and 8. Well, 5 past 7 onwards, but as well. Yeah, thank you very much. Let's get some score predictions, actually, before we do wrap up. Matt's buggering off. I don't know if you can still hear us or not. Give us your score prediction, Matt. If you can't hear me, just point up.
No, I can hear you. It's just my headphones stopped working. I reckon it's going to be a tight one. I'm going to go for 1-1. Slightly optimistic, slightly pessimistic. I think we will score, but I think it'll be another game without 50% possession for us. I think we're going to get slapped all over the park and might just nick a draw.
Sam?
Do you know what? I was going to go for 1-1 as well. But I tell you what, I'm going to go for 2-0 Newcastle. But if Hendrick starts on the right, I'm going for a 2-0 Fulham win.
I'm going to say a win as well. Fuck it. Why not? I'm going to say 2-1 the Toon. It's not often I say that, but I think Fulham will come and try and attack us, and I think we will hit them if Shelby has his game on. And I think he could be key. But that is it. That is your preview, long one. Thank you very much for Kenneth says a bit more positivity. How about Matt? Sort yourself out. Me and Sam are. Thank you very much for Sam and Matt joining us. We'll see you at 7:05 tomorrow for all the videos. Ta-ra, everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.